All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact outbound process that allowed me to make $10,000 per month just as a setter when I first got started into the high ticket sales space. So just for some context, this was back in Q1 of 2024. I was working for the fastest growing sales trading company that was doing about $3 million a month. Now, back then, they barely had an outbound process because they were just relying on the strong lead flow of the influencer because he's super big in the sales space. So I was a key factor in terms of actually getting firsthand experience and like building out the process and the sales scripts. So as you can see here in that quarter before I went into closing Q1, as you can see, I collected 500,000, essentially 500,000 cash collected, and I had a 35% scheduled to sale conversion. So that means 1 in 3 leads that I set closed. So just set, meaning I called them and I set them up. 1 in 3 of them closed, which means the show rate was very high, and then like the close rate was very high on my sets. So 424 calls booked for closers, 151 sales, role SDR, Kai Davis. So I was the #1 SDR that quarter. As you can see here was like an award that I won. So quarter MVPs, the reps with the most cash collected in each department. So from there, I was helping new reps that were getting onboarded understand the outbound process. So I'm super familiar with it. So I'm going to break down the entire outbound process I use to scale that department. I'm going to break down the 3 components for outbound sets to close at a very high percentage: the call structure, the post-call process, the 3 outcomes you're looking for out of a very good outbound call, and the 4 revenue generating activity strategy that made me a whole lot of money. So if you're an offer owner with a low performing outbound sales team, or you're a setter trying to transition into a closer as fast as possible like I did, or maybe you're a setter wanting to make 10K a month, this video is going to be very helpful for you. All right, guys, so let's get into it. So there's going to be 3 core components for outbound sets to close at a very high percentage. Okay, so #1 is going to be the speed to lead. So leads called within the first 5 minutes are 20 times more likely to convert. Now, this is stats that I heard a while ago. I actually searched it up. It's from some study from like some sales organization. Leads contacted within 5 minutes are 100 times more likely to be reached than if you wait 30 minutes. So it's very important to call the lead as fast as possible as soon as they come in. Like I used to have a smart view in the CRM that I was using when I used to be a setter, to where I made my own thing to where as soon as a lead comes in, like I'm talking about like less than 10 seconds, I would call them. Right, so that's something that you could do if you use any sort of CRM, like Go High Level Close. You can make like smart views like that for yourself. So contacting these leads as soon as they opt in are very important, just because they literally just saw the material, right? So they're going through the material, they just opted in their information. So they're the warmest they'll ever be, right? Rather than you waiting, let's say 30 minutes to where, now it's like they probably forgot about it. Now they're going through their day, they're, doing other stuff. So it's very important if you want leads to close at a very high percentage, that they need to be called within the first 5 minutes, okay? For me personally, I was doing it, like I said, in the first 10 seconds. So that's very important. Okay, so step #2 is going to be building the gap. So this is very important, right? I see a lot of setters that just ask a couple service level questions, right? And think that just because like they booked them in that they're going to close, right? That's not the case at all. The job as a setter is very important, right? Because a lot of people think it's easy, right? Like I have right here, like a lot of people think it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. Okay, so you need to make sure they're framed properly so the closer's jobs make it much easier, right? There's been many times where, even when I was closing, where like these people would jump on the calendar and setters would just like let red flags slip through the cracks. So meaning like I had to get guys hop on like, yeah, I'm not really sure if this is something I'm wanting to do. Like I just clicked the ad, I don't know if I want to commit to this yet. Now, obviously it's the closer's job to overcome that, but it just makes it more difficult. Like you can't let non-buyer language slip through the cracks where, you ask the first question like, yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm just over here like, looking around and kind of seeing what my options are. Like that's non-buyer language, and that makes the closer's job much harder. So prospects need to understand that they have a problem and that they need to feel like they cannot solve that problem without your solution, okay? It's your job to get them to feel that way through the questions you ask. If they do not feel that they have a problem worth solving, they'll be less likely to show up, let alone close. So through your questions, right, through your skilled questions you're asking them, you need to get them aware that they have a problem. So whether that is, they're working some 9 to 5 that they hate, or maybe your product solves a certain problem. Maybe it's like they have like unprofitable like ad campaigns, right? Like let's say you run like, or you're setting for like an ad agency. the like prospects need to aware that they have unprofitable ad campaigns and like the impact that's actually having on them, right? So same thing for like B2C, like it's a business opportunity, right? They need to understand that they don't have like the time that they want from a job, or maybe like, you know, they understand that if they continue down like the path where they just go to college and get a normal job, then that's not going to be the life they want to live. So those are examples. So they just need to understand that they have a problem, right? So you need to make them very problem aware before booking them in. Otherwise, you know, they may not show up, or they won't close at the level you want. Now, I'm not saying like you can still book these people in and they'll close just from luck, but I'm saying if you really want to have a high percentage, like a high percentage of sets that you said actually close, then you need to make sure you're building the gap and that they're aware they have a problem. So once again, reiterate, they need to feel like they cannot solve that problem without your solution. So they need to feel like, so they're problem aware, and now they need to understand that they can't solve, like they need to feel like they can't solve that problem without your solution. So they can't solve that problem without, you know, buying the business opportunity that you guys have. They can't solve that problem unless they, you know, purchase a product that solves a certain problem. So they need to feel like, you know, there's no other option. Like in order to solve this problem, they need your solution, right? So that's your job through your skilled questions and building the gap and the outbound process, like the call structure, which we'll go through shortly. Number 3 is going to be relevant pre-call assets. So you need to send pre-call material that is relevant to the specific problem they're trying to solve or the goal they want to achieve. This is very important because what this does is when you send material, I have it here as well, when you send material that directly speaks to their exact problem before they call, like a case study of somebody that was in a similar position. Maybe it's like a kid who was in college and now he dropped out and he's successful with business, or maybe, you know, somebody that was like working long hours and then they're not 9 to 5 and they transition and then now they're successful with the business. You need to send them relevant material because subconsciously they frame you as the expert who already understands them, right? Since you already helped solve another person's problem that was in a very similar position, they feel like that you can do that as well. So this is in the form of a client who, you know, overcame a similar issue like I mentioned and achieved a similar goal. So when you send the material, it needs to speak directly to them, okay? This is very important, guys, because like I mentioned, when I used to be a setter, like you don't know how many times where they jumped on the closing call and then you know the setter or the closer asked like what were their takeaways, and they're like, yeah, like I really relate to, you know, XYZ story. I think it's kind of similar to me. So this is very, very important, guys. I know a lot of setters, they send pre-call assets, but it's not like specific to them. They just send like random testimonials, you know, just stuff to watch. But if it's a bonus if it's very specific to what the conversation was about. So their specific problem or their specific goal that they're trying to achieve that your product and solution already helped another person do. And you want to send that to them and make sure they go through it. So it's very, very important. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the outbound process. So there's 2 sections to this, and we're gonna go through this, and I'm gonna try to make this as clear as possible, just so you guys understand. Okay, so the lead opts in their information. Okay, so as soon as they opt in, you want to dial them twice within 5 minutes. So meaning like double dial. What a double dial is you call them, they don't answer, then you call again. Okay, so you want to double dial them within the first five minutes. Ideally, like I did, like within a minute. So if they don't answer, okay, what you want to do is you want to send them a voicemail. Okay, and the voicemail is going to look like something like this. So, hey, lead name, it's just Kai here from Influencers Company. I saw you opted in about possibly, you know, scaling your business. I tried to reach you, but it seems like we couldn't connect. I should be available here for the next few minutes, so you can ring me when you can. So there's some psychology behind this voicemail script, and this worked a ton. I got a ton of callbacks from this. Essentially, what you're doing here is you're raising your status. So like you try to reach them because they put in their information. I should be available for the next few minutes here. So your status framing them, like you should be available for the next few minutes. So this frames it as like you're doing them a favor by reaching out to them because they put in their information, right? So it's very important. Yeah, so there's a method there in terms of the actual voicemail script itself. So you want to send them that, and then as soon as you send them the voicemail, you want to send a text. So here's what the text is going to say. Hey, lead name, it's Kai here from the Influencers Company. I saw you possibly looking into the influencer service that they offer. Is that right? Now, just a key thing here is just the neutral languaging. So this is your first interaction with this lead, so you just want to be neutral, right? So you don't trigger any sort of resistance. So I saw you were possibly looking into XYZ service. Is that right? Okay, so if they answer this text, they're like, yeah, I did. You want to dial them. You want to double dial them again immediately. Okay. Now, if they don't answer, you want to continue with a text convo to schedule a time that works to talk. Now, a lot of setters make a mistake to where, again, they're giving up the authority to the prospect. They're not holding the frame that like we have the solution and they have the problem. So as you're going through this text conversation, you want to make sure you're holding frame. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we can potentially, like, let's say you're going through the conversation. I can check, I can check my schedule. I can potentially squeeze you in for about 10 to 15 minutes at specific time. Does that work for you? So, you don't want to you don't want to put it in their hands where you're like, yeah, what time works best for you, right? Or what time can you connect? Because again, you're giving them you're giving them the authority, but again, it's the opposite. They have the problem and you have the solution. So while you're going through this text conversation, you just want to make sure that you're holding authority and just book in a time the same day that works for the both of you. If they're trying to push it off, but tomorrow for the conversation or the next day, don't let them do that. Make sure you book in a time the same exact day, because once again, the faster that we get in contact with them, the more likely they are to convert. Okay, so if they don't answer your text, what you're gonna do is you're gonna double dial them again in 30 minutes. Okay, if they don't answer, you're gonna send another text, and then it's just gonna be like, hey, lead name, right? What this does, it just builds curiosity in terms of, like, I know when somebody sends me a text, it's like, hey, Kai, I'm like, who is this person, right? So that's what you want to do, just to get them to respond. So that's the second text that you'll send in terms of that. So if they don't answer, what you're going to do is enroll them in a workflow. Say, okay, so your company would probably have this in, like, the CRMs, Go High Level, Close. Those are the main two. And so what this workflow does is it sends automated SMS to the lead, and it reminds you to call again. So meaning a title will be called like, lead, no contact. So it puts them in an automatic workflow that sends specific messages like throughout the day, and it'll also tell you when to like call again as well. So that's what you want to do if you didn't get, like, if they haven't said anything to you within the 30 minutes of you trying to reach out to them. Okay, so if they answer, now we're going to go through the call structure. Now, if you want the actual word tracks that I use with this call structure, you can just reach out to me after you watch this video. But essentially, here is going to be the call structure itself, okay? So here is, the structure, and then here is the outcomes that we're looking for. So outcomes are very important in sales because, once again, we want to be very flexible. We don't want to follow a script, but we want to make sure that we understand the outcome. So the intro, right? It's going to be, the outcome you're looking for is to lower sales resistance, because once again, you're the first point of contact with the business, right? They probably have done a lot of this before where they opt in their information and like a salesperson's reaching out to them. So you have their guards up in terms of that, right? So we want to lower their guard by using neutral languaging and, a specific word track that worked for me every time. Now, once again, if you want the actual scripting that I use, then you can just reach out to me after this video. So after the intro, what we want to do is we want to find the tangible, okay? And so the tangible is logical, which I'll explain shortly. So essentially, you want to find out the main reason that they are here and the problem they're trying to solve, okay? So what the tangible is like what they're needing help with. Why are they actually here, right? Why do they opt in their information to start a business? Why do they opt in information to, get better at dating? Why do they opt in their information to start running ads better, right? So you want to find the tangible, right? Like the tangible reason they're actually here, like what they're actually looking for help with, okay? So once we get the tangible, right, and this may take you, 1 or 2 probes to like get the actual tangible. Like a lot of people would give you service level answers here when you ask this specific question in the actual structure. So you want to use mirrored questions. You want to make sure that you get the real tangible on like why they're actually here. And then once you do, you want to find the experience, which is the emotional part of it. So the experience is like what makes them feel that the tangible is an issue. Okay, so let's say, somebody opts in their information, right, for dating coaching, right? And so I say something like, what's the biggest reason you're looking to get better with dating right now? Oh yeah, well, like I've been struggling with girls for the past 2 years, so I want to change that. Okay, that's a tangible, right? So he's been struggling with girls for the past 2 years, and he wants to change that. So after that, we want to find the experience. So it's gonna go something like this, like, yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing that. So I mean, what have you seen though in the past 2 years that makes you feel like you need to get better with dating? Right? And then they're going to give you the experience of that. So yeah, well, I mean, like every time I hop on Tinder or every time I try to go on a date with a girl, like I always get rejected and like it never goes to the second step. So we have the time to the tangible, why they're here, and now we have the experience that makes them feel that way. Okay. Then we want to understand their current situation, right? So This is to gain context around the tangible to set up the gap, right? Around the tangible and then experience to set up the gap. Okay, so we want to gain context around that. Okay, so how long have you actually been in the dating game? Okay, so what type of approaches are you using now, like when you do talk to girls, right? So we're just understanding their situation around the tangible and the experience. And then the next thing we're going to do is going to be to build out / build the gap. Okay, so this section is very important. This is the section where we go back over here, building the gap, right? The prospects needs to understand that they have a problem and they need to feel like they cannot solve the problem without your solution. So we're gonna go down here. Okay, so the outcome, right? Build out on the current situation and make them aware that they have a problem. They need to feel like they can't solve it without your solution, okay? So once we gain context around, how long they've been dating for, or like the current situation, like gain context around the tangible experience, now we're gonna build down on that. Okay, so once we gain context around the situation, this is what it would look like. So let's just say something like, so let's say they told you that they've been in the game for 5 years. So yeah, so for you, John, like I know you mentioned that you've been in the dating game for about 5 years, but like, recently during the past 2, you feel like you're not where you want to be in terms of dating. I guess, I mean, for the past 2 years, knowing that you're experiencing XYZ, like what's that been like for you? Right? And then they're going to tell you, oh yeah, I mean, well, it's been frustrated because like, every time I get home from work, like I want to be able to go on a date, but like, I don't have any options available. And so then we could do another probe. We could be like, okay, well, I mean, for you, John, like how's that showing up for you? Like, how's that affecting you? Well, I mean, it's like frustrating for me because like I'm progressing in my career. Like I feel like I'm doing like a lot of self-improvement, but I just can't like attract the girl I want to. So this is just a dating example, right? But this is what it looks like. We're just building the gap. So we're building the gap from where they are right now, where they want to be, and like what's actually happening in between, like how's that affecting them, like how it's showing up for them day to day, like what has it been like for them, dealing with this problem for so long, right? So we're just building the gap, right? So this is going to make them more likely to show up to the call because they understand that they have a problem that you're looking to solve, right? And it's your job to expand that gap to see how bad the problem actually is and how it's actually affecting them and how it's showing up for them every day. So once again, there were specific questions that work for me every single time. So again, if you want these questions, if you want the script, I'll be gladly to send it out to you. Just reach out to me after this. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the qualification. So the outcome is to make sure that they're willing and able to make an investment to solve their problem, okay? So it's good that they have a problem, guys. It's good that you build out. They understand that they need to change, but if they're not actually able or willing to invest to solve their problem, right, then there's nothing you can do, right? It's just like, it's going to be just a call with no outcome, right, with the closer. So you want to make sure they're willing and able to invest and to actually solve their problem, and they actually have urgency to do so. Like they want to get this done and they want to actually like solve this problem ASAP rather than them, pushing it off, right? This also pre-handles some objections, right? You want to make sure they want to get started ASAP. That way, when they get on the call with the closer, they want to make a decision rather than them wanting to push it off, right? So it's very, very important, guys, to make sure you qualify the lead the right way. So next, you're going to book the call, right? And set them no later than 24 hours. So schedule them in while still maintaining the authority, holding the frame that we have the solution, they have the problem. Make it seem like we're doing them a favor by booking in. So once again, guys, we always have to maintain the authority because like as a setter, right, you're the gatekeeper. So you're protecting the company's calendar, you're protecting the closer. You're essentially the filter of what type of clients can come through and even get the opportunity to book in, right? So you want to hold that authority, right? A lot of setters, they flip it around because they're so desperate to get like a set or like, oh, like they need to feel like they need to set somebody. But you need to flip that, right? You have the authority because they have the problem and they're coming into you. You have the solution. So we need to make it seem like it's a favor for them to even book in with us to solve this problem that they told us about. So lastly, what you want to do is you want to tie down, get commitment out that they'll actually show up to the call. So what this process looks like, to give you an example, right? It could be something like, so would it be helpful if we allowed you to book that call in? And then they say yes. And then what a tie down is like, are you sure, man? Like, you don't have to, seriously. Are you sure you want to do it? And they're like, yes, right? So you want to get commitment that they'll show up to the call. So here are the 3 outcomes that you need to make sure you have a successful setting call. 1 is going to be, is the prospect financially qualified? 2, is the prospect aware that they have a problem? 3, does the prospect have the intent and the willingness to actually make a change? Okay, so are they willing and able to invest into themselves if everything did make sense? Did you make them realize that they had a problem and the impact it's having on them at the moment? Do they actually want to make a change and have the urgency to do so? So these are very, very important. You want to make sure you have these 3 check boxes like when you're going through the conversation before you set them. Otherwise, once again, the closer might get slammed with a bunch of objections, or they might have not have the urgency. So again, if you don't check these boxes, they could still close just out of luck. Sometimes that's just what happens. But if you want to have a very high schedule to close, you want to make sure you tick all these 3 boxes. Okay, so the post-call process. So like I mentioned, what you want to do is send them relevant testimonial based off their situation that they will resonate with the most. Very important that is relevant to the specific problem that they're trying to solve or the specific outcome they're looking for. Okay. So here's what the text would look like. Hey prospect, looking forward to seeing you at the call and date time, just to see how we can help you with this specific problem and goal. Go through this video where the client was in a similar position and how he was able to also overcome, a specific problem, or how he was able to achieve the specific goal. So it's like vice versa. Then you send them the link to the resource. Then what you want to do is call one time the next day. Okay. If they answer, confirm that they went through the material and ask for takeaways. If not, remind them. And you can also send them a text as well. I forgot to add that in, but you can send them a text. Like, let's say you sent them a few hours ago. Like you can text them again, like, hey, prospect name, were you able to go through the materials that I sent you? Okay. And then what you could do is call the next day if they don't answer that. Confirm that they went through the material. If no answer, send an SMS. Hey Lee, just try to give you a call in between appointments. Were you able to go through that material? Once again, we're raising our authority. I try to give you a call in between appointments, right? So you're raising your authority. You have a lot of clients. You're busy. You're helping a lot of people. Okay, guys. So if a lead no-shows, okay, so continue to call and follow up with them, okay? Many leads have closed even after no-showing the first call because they were just genuinely busy at the time, right? Or they forgot about it. So it doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong in that moment. So if they no-show, guys, right, obviously you want to review the call, maybe see what you could do better, but you also want to just, make sure you follow up with them. Because like I had a lot of leads close, PIF, just because like they were genuinely busy, like something came up, right? Like life happens, like not everybody, you can't make the appointment sometimes. So just make sure that you continue to follow up with them in terms of that, to get them back on the calendar as soon as possible. So don't just, I see a lot of setters, they just like leave the lead in the abyss and then like, it's like, it's over from there. So you want to make sure that you're following up with them because, you already did your job. You just need to get them back on the board so you don't have to go through the whole process again. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is revenue generating activities. Okay, so these are going to be the 3 main ways, guys, that you can make money without relying on like new leads. Okay, this is, guys, I like upsold, like I set so many like upsell calls for, my closer when I used to be setting. So here's the 4 main ways. So number 1, you want to call closers no sales and trying to get them back on the board. So let's say, a closer had a no sale from like 2 weeks ago or something. What you want to do is you want to call them up, right? See like what happened on the call, see if they're still interested and get them back on the board. Okay. Cause, some people like, maybe they not have closed on the call, but like they got the money together, but then they just forgot about it, or like the closer never followed up with them. So that's one, guys, you can get a lot of easy sales from that. It's a very simple process. Number 2 is going to be calling current clients who are about to expire or who are about to lose access to see if they want to upgrade to a higher package. So let's say that you sell 2 packages. One is a like 3K offer, then one's like a 6K. So everyone with the 3K offer, you want to call them and you want to just like understand, like more so like a customer success call. So you want to call them, like ask them how, their experience was in the program, ask them, if they liked it, and then you can offer them, the higher package. So like, actually what we allow you to do, like, I don't know if XYZ mentioned to you, the closer mentioned to you, but we also have a higher package to where, you can get X, Y, and Z, and we can actually credit the investment you made into that program, if it made sense. Do you feel like it's worth just to schedule a call just to see if we could talk, just to see if it even makes sense for you, something like that, right? So that's really good as well. Really good way to get some easy upsells. Number 3 is going to be calling all no-shows in the past 14 days to get them back on the board. So closers, no-show, it's pretty straightforward. Just call them up, because again, guys, some of these guys are genuinely busy. Doesn't mean that they don't want help. And the closer, like a lot of closers I know, they don't even follow up with no-shows. So very important, guys. This is easy way to get some more sets, right? Easy way to talk to people that have already been through the process, and you can take them through it again if they forgot. That's a very good one as well. So number 4 is going to be asking people you've set that are now clients for referrals. So let's say you set somebody, the closer close them, and then like within like a week or 2, you want to ask them if they know anybody else who needs the help as well. Again, very, very important right there. It's very easy, guys, especially if you have that rapport, like you had a good call with the actual prospect itself. You can just reach out, send them a text like, hey man, like I know I helped you, we spoke earlier, hope the program's going well. Wanted to see if you had anybody else who wants help with, like, you know, getting their trading skills up or dating skills up, or, you know, anybody else that wants to start this business, right? So once again, guys, that's very, very effective. Like these probably have made me over, like, you know, 20, 30K just doing this stuff right here. So these are very good revenue generating activities that you could do. Let's say if, you know, you have no setting calls, you could just do in your free time, etc. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. That just explains the entire outbound process itself. Hope you guys found some value from this. Once again, if you want any of the resources, like the scripts that I mentioned, the questions I used to ask, I'm gonna have a link to my Instagram where you can just DM me on IG and ask any questions you do have about what we just covered.